It is our singular honor and privilege to address you today on the occasion of Oliver Tambo Month being celebrated in South Africa. Oliver Tambo, ladies and gentlemen, you would recall, we are celebrating the 108th birthday anniversary of this eminent person within South Africa's diplomatic repository. We will make time tonight to take you into confidence, in particular, on the role that Oliver Tambo have played in the construct of South Africa's democratic dispensation. Importantly, ladies and gentlemen, South Africa's foreign policy, its premise on four interdependent, interrelated, concentric circles. The first and foremost, of course, it's we see ourselves as substantive Pan-African. We are a country that understands that our future are intertwined with the future of all other 54 member states of the African Union. We appreciate, therefore, ladies and gentlemen, that for the success of Agenda 2063, where we have a Africa that is the embodiment of inclusive prosperity in 2063, that we can do that only if South Africa, together with other countries through its bilateral mechanism and through the sub-regional organizations such as SADC and concomitant regional economic communities, would be able to cohere in relation to what should be that defining future in 2063. It is with this context, ladies and gentlemen, that we have the singular pleasure, of course, to prosecute our key and second pillar of our foreign policy, which speaks about global solidarity. It finds also expression within our thematic approach of our G20 Presidency. And it seeks to symbolize, ladies and gentlemen, the philosophy of Ubuntu that where there is difficulties, where there is vulnerability, South Africa's foreign policy dispensation should be present. The third and critical foreign policy overture speaks about the centrality of deepening cooperation with your more industrialized economy. We do this, ladies and gentlemen, understanding the dialectical relationship between our future as a developing economy and that of the more developed economies. And it's for this reason that our presence within the G20 which seeks to respond to the national interest framework document of South Africa as cemented within the domestic priorities of ensuring that we grow our economy better, we create more job opportunities for our people, and in doing so, we reduce inequality. The fourth and last concentric circle, ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, speaks about the need to deepen multilateralism through the transformation of global governance institutions. And it's for this reason that the central topology of our engagements today will seek to define better how South Africa should harness our democratic dividend through the leadership in the G20 presidency. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, this year also marks 70 years since the foundation of the Bandung Conference in 1955, which sought to ensure there's absolute solidarity amongst the people of Africa and of Asia. It speaks about the centrality of ensuring that our development paradigm gets to be done and executed with the necessary dignity, with respect for the sovereign integrity of other nations, and ensuring in doing so that our foreign policy lens always look at non-alignment and respect for the domestic integrity of nation states. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we do remind you that we have just concluded the United Nations General Assembly 80th plenary session, which, in typical fashion, ladies and gentlemen, have amplified the importance of the developing South and its role in the attainment of the Sustainable Development Goals, of which we ought to achieve it with only 5 years left. We should be concerned, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, that in the next 5 years, our current attainment record of the SDG goals stands at 17%. That, of course, can be attributed to both the war in Ukraine and the COVID-19 pandemic. But it requires, therefore, both state and non-state actors to ensure there's maximum unity of purpose as it relates to the attainment of the outstanding SDG goals, the acceleration of your just energy transition, work to be done on the digital frontier, and of course, ladies and gentlemen, fixing the development finance paradigm. It is against this background, ladies and gentlemen, that our G20 Presidency will look at the transformation agenda of the G20, including the continued role that your multilateral development bank should play, the characteristics of your special drawing rights of the International Monetary Fund, rechanneling and climate financing that will be able to ensure digital inclusivity. And it's for this reason, ladies and gentlemen, that our three imperatives speaks about solidarity, equality, and sustainability. We do that being mindful of the note of appraisal from the Italian economist Mariana Mazzucato, who argues, ladies and gentlemen, that states must move away from market fixing to market shaping. It's precisely why today's G20 engagement, through the participation and stewardship of Sanlam, provides a very useful opportunity for captains of industry, the academia, to engage better with the agenda which the Leadership Summit in November 2025 will be seized with. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, the global financial architecture remains disjointed and skewed. A critical aspect of the discussion should be what should be the nature and the feature of the transformation be of the Bretton Woods institutions, given that South Africa is a shareholder, ladies and gentlemen, in both the World Bank and the IMF. By doing so, ladies and gentlemen, our minimum expectations today, of course, is that our business executives, our academic experts, should seek to dig on the cost of capital. The cost of capital, the relationship of the cost of capital with your credit rating agencies, and what needs to be done to ensure that debt sustainability, in particular for low-income countries, ladies and gentlemen, becomes one of the key objectives to be attained during our G20 presidency. Ladies and gentlemen, I conclude by taking you into confidence that the President have appointed an extraordinary committee on global inequality. This extraordinary committee is chaired by the Nobel laureate, Professor Joseph Stiglitz. And for the first time, ladies and gentlemen, in the history of the G20, inequality is being addressed not as a subordinate matter, but indeed as a systematic challenge which seeks to impede on economic growth, inclusive prosperity, peace and stability. We therefore look forward, ladies and gentlemen, through your participation in today's engagement, to reflect on the matter of inequality as it relates to South Africa's own prosperity. We wish you well, ladies and gentlemen, and we look forward to learning from the different panels of expertise that will grace us today. Thank you very much.